Hey guys, Michael here with the Daily Note, and today is day 6 out of 34 continuous videos that I plan on uploading for the next 30 days. So today I want to talk about these earphones that I have. Actually, I want to recommend this one to you. It's super cheap, it's really high qualities, so I think it would make an excellent stocking stuffer. So to compare to it, I have a pretty expensive earbuds that are kind of old now. But these are the Samsung Gear IconX, the 2018 version. So they did have a version before this one, and I think the battery life was pretty short. So they did solve this, but it wasn't perfect, and it definitely was not perfect for me. I begrudgingly used these for a year because I thought, they are pretty expensive, so it must be good. So I never really bothered to try other ones, but in short, they were pretty painful to wear. I wore them and I felt pain for about every day for 3 months when I wore it. And they had constant issues with sensing that it fell out of my ear. Even though it didn't fall out of my ear, I just kind of tilted my head to the side and it would just stop the music I was listening to. It was incredibly disruptive to my podcast experience. By the end of the year, I realized that I had been listening to these 3-hour-long podcasts a couple of times a week, and I realized I never completed a podcast for an entire year because these would interrupt that experience so many times. And while wearing these, right, these are Samsung Gear IconX 2018. While wearing these, I was imagining what the perfect earbuds would be, and that would be stripping out all of the functions that this one had. So for example, if you are familiar with the Galaxy Buds, they are a simplified version of this, and I believe those sound a little bit better, and it's actually a lot cheaper as well. But these are kind of like the advanced, and they try to put everything in here. So these have like these touch features, touch gestures. You could adjust the volume by swiping up, tapping and double tapping. They would have proximity sensors, which didn't really work well, but they would try to sense when it fell out of your ear. So they would save battery and stop playing music, which again, I found incredibly disruptive. And these had 2 types of silicone inserts that you could adjust so that it fits into your ear better. But even with all the pieces adjusted so that it would be as small as possible for my ears, I just couldn't find a comfortable configuration. These also have a pedometer. It's able to count your steps. Now, one thing I do miss about these is it does have like a mini speaker in here, so that if you lose these earphones or they kind of fall down onto the back of the couch, for example, you could activate something on your Galaxy Gear wearable app, and you could hear these would like send out an audible beacon so that you could find these easily. And I absolutely use that feature, which is not available in something like this. These also have 4 gigabytes of memory per each earbud. So you could technically store 8 gigabytes of music, but I never actually used it. And lastly, this case is super high quality. You could just feel how solid it is. It tells you what the charging level is, and it's just really well designed. For example, when you press on this button, did you know that there's like a magnet where if you press this, kind of opens this lid in a really elegant way. So I thought it was really nicely designed. But one thing I didn't mention about these is the audio quality is pretty mediocre. I say mediocre right now. Maybe when I first got these, I would say they were good. I would give them like a 7 out of 10. But considering that we have something like this out there for about 1/10 the price, I would give this audio quality like a 4, because it's not that the sound isn't clear. It's more about the frequency response. I would say the bass response on these are pretty non-existent. And that's my number one problem with them. You just can't escape that no matter what you do, because you're trying to enjoy the music and you're never not hearing that you're missing some of the bass quality of the music that you're listening to. Let's not talk too much about this because I'm not recommending this anymore. I don't think they're even selling these anymore. And if you want to stick with the Samsung ecosystem, I believe, and I've read enough reviews of people that went from this IconX to the Galaxy Buds saying that yes, the Galaxy Buds do sound better. And I think it has more to do with Bluetooth 5.0. So I would imagine the Galaxy Buds probably sound similar. The sound quality that I think is great on here, I would imagine they probably sound the same, but I cannot recommend them because I have not tried it, because this experience was not good at all. But anyways, yeah, I want to recommend this QCY T1S. So this is, I believe, the successor to their first version, which was the T1C, which I've been using, and this is just like an updated version. So I wasn't really recommending the Gear IconX by any means because it is fairly outdated and there are a lot better options out there. But if you're looking for the budget options, and if you are a stickler for audio quality, yeah, I would say these are near perfect. So let me tell you all the great things about this. Well, this is a bad start to a great thing list, but the case, you can't really compare it. These two cases, this does kind of feel a little bit cheap, especially in comparison to this. But yeah, let's not worry about that too much. Once you listen to the audio quality between these two, if I could get another one of these for like 20 bucks, and I somehow could get another one of these for 20 bucks, I would still choose these over the IconX. So the case is pretty generic, but if I haven't mentioned the price yet, it's $20. Well, it's $20 if you're willing to wait a little bit, because you could buy it for that price from eBay, including shipping. But it's shipping from China, so it's gonna take maybe 7 to 21 days. I think that's the usual estimate. But if you're willing to pay a little bit more, I believe they're selling for about $25 to $30 on Amazon. You could buy it from somebody that's shipping from the US, and it's usually somebody that bought like 100 or 1,000 of these, and they're just trying to make like $5-10 for everyone that's trying to buy one of these. So if you are looking for a last minute stocking stuffer and you need it before Christmas, just pay the $5-10 more on Amazon, I guess. So let's talk about the number one feature, the audio quality. But I wouldn't say they are as good as wired earphones. I would say, and I think it has to do with these being Bluetooth 5.0 and these not being Bluetooth 5.0. But I think Bluetooth 5.0 makes it possible for you to get more frequency response with earphones. So one thing I was definitely missing from these is the lower audible frequencies. So when you're listening to music with bass, or when you like listening to podcasts where there are nuances in the voice for lower frequencies, it just seemed to be missing almost completely with these. And maybe I'm being a little bit harsh, but if you think you have some sensitive ears and you know how to tell the difference from like $30 earphones to $100 earphones or $200 earphones, I think you will absolutely notice that these were missing a lot. And these don't have any kind of issues that I experienced previously with my older USB headphones, which were every time they would activate, I could hear it coming on and hear it turning off. You just don't hear anything like that with these. Another great thing about this is the range. For example, I could have my phone in another room, walk into another room with a couple of walls, and I'm surprised how it's able to maintain that connection. And I would say it's as good, if not better, than these, which I thought were pretty good, but I think these might be even better. In terms of battery life, I think I get about 5 hours of continuous music playback, maybe even more. I just never listened to more than 5 hours without putting these back in the charger. So I would say it's about the same experience that I was getting with these. The comfort, these are a lot more comfortable than these. They tried to pack so much in here, and they could only make it this size, and I think they stripped away some of the features for the Galaxy Buds to make them smaller and lighter. And these are certainly, I never experienced pain with these, whereas these. Now let's move on to what's not so good about these. So as mentioned, they are comfortable, but they are not as tight fitting as these. So there's no rubber pieces or rubber pieces that stick out so that these don't fall out of your ear. So I wouldn't expect to run with these. I'm sure they would eventually fall out rather quickly. But for walking, I would say, yeah, they're perfect for having these on, walking around the house. You know, I wouldn't expect those to fall out. Okay, so the next thing of cons. So you could see each of these earbuds only has one button. They're not touch buttons. It's just one button that you press. And when you try to press that when it's in your ear, it's actually rather uncomfortable because it does have that air. You know, you're blocking the air passageway with this silicone tip. And imagine just putting pressure in that ear. Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to do that. You kind of want to gently lift it out a little bit and press into it. So if you're somebody that's always having to change tracks often, maybe these are not the best because, yeah, for that experience, something with a touch feature would be better. Even if you're limited to one button, it's not like you can't gain access to volume control or skipping tracks. You could do it through Google Assistant. For example, okay, Google, set media volume to 85%.
Okay.
Okay, Google, volume up.
Sure.
So that's just an example. I'm sure you could like find tracks in your audio library and you could pause and stuff like that. So you don't ever have to touch it. I'm sure it's a little bit more convenient to touch it for some features. Absolutely. So next on the list, you could see that these are micro USB, whereas these and the Galaxy Buds are USB-C. But it's not like a deal killer at all. And you could always get around it by just, you know, having a lot of these around at the house. But maybe some of you might even prefer that. So, all right. And the very last thing on the list that I could think of, you know, when you take both out, they connect to each other and one connects to your phone. Whereas if you just take one out, they just pair individually to the phone. Now there is a main one. And I think one tries to connect to the other earbud first, and when it times out, it connects to the phone. So when you're using it, when you're trying to use, I believe the left ones, just individually, it just takes a little bit longer to pair than something like this. They've done a lot more engineering for the pairing of this for your convenience, and they connect individually to your phone at the same time, whether you're using both or you're trying to use left or right. Now, I want to mention that during the last 3 months, there were 1 or 2 instances where these were pairing individually, or only individually, to my phone, and I couldn't get them to pair up. And I'm sure it's more about me not reading the manual, and somehow these got into a mode where you wanted both of these to pair individually very quickly, and you weren't planning to use them together. Somehow it fell into that state. And I had to repair these to get them working again. So anyways, this is my number 1 recommendation for third-party accessories for the Galaxy Note 10 or any smartphone that supports Bluetooth 5.0. I think they would make excellent stocking stuffers. So one last thing I want to mention is that if you want to get these earbuds and you are looking to wireless charge them, you can actually get the QCY T1S, and it's only $5 more. So it's a no-brainer. So I'm thinking about picking up another pair of these because they are so incredibly cheap. And I could just wear these without worrying about the battery life. And if they eventually run out of battery, I could send them to charge and then I could put on the other pair. So I could just go on all day without thinking of the battery life at all. And the price for doing that is a big factor because if you had $200 earphones, it's really hard to justify getting 2 of them just for battery life. Whereas if it costs like $20-25, it makes sense to do that. All right, it's comment time for my previous video. I reviewed the 45 watt super fast charger for the Galaxy Note 10. So K Brooks, you make a good point about the 45 watt charger, using it quickly. Could you make a video on the way you have your Note 10 Plus set up and what apps you use? Okay, so I'll do a video on that in the near future. How is that I can't find where to buy the original 25-watt charger? Oh, is that true? Is it really hard to buy that OEM charger? What I need, so that was a comment by LRX Power. So next comment, Kodiak. What I need is a super fast car charger. All right, the great Santini, your phone will be lasting about 15 minutes if you use one of these for a while. Going to burn up batteries quickly. You know, I did some research if that was true, and that used to be the way of thinking for lithium-ion batteries. People were saying the higher voltages make these nanocrystals build up and it builds resistance. But I think they have improved battery technology. You know, these battery companies like Tesla, Samsung, LG, Panasonic, they're spending so much time and money into R&D so that that doesn't happen, because people do want fast charging. So yeah, jury is out in that on that one, but I'm just putting my faith in Samsung to have done their R&D, that they would recommend a product like the super fast charger so that my phone doesn't need a battery replaced before the year is up. Kevin Sampson, 120 volt available on any Samsung charger. They're 110 to 240 volts. Do I use wireless charging? So I have two Samsung wireless chargers. The one I got for my Galaxy Note 5, I believe, maybe the 4. But yeah, it was at Puck with the fan. And to be honest, I used it for a while and then I just went back to the cable charging. With the Galaxy Note 10, I got the Charger Duo. I think it was a Duo 2. But it's the one where it has the charging port and then a smaller one next to it for your watch or another phone. And I have it, but I'm just not using it. I kind of want to do a review on it, but you know, I think I might just end up saying stuff like, it's good, it's slower, and I just ended up going back to the charging by plug. And I think my concern is the heat. I've heard heat is more of the issue to be wary about rather than the high voltage. So we'll see. Again, I'm putting my faith in Samsung. All right, Carlos, I watched the live stream. Welcome back. We miss you. Glad you are making videos. All right, so this was for my first tips and tricks video. But anyways, so that's it for the comments. Everyone, thank you for commenting, and feel free to comment for this video as well. And I will reply to them personally on the next video. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up if you want to help me out just a little bit. That will help this video get a little bit more exposure. All right, thank you for watching.